Okay, so let's review the post-test for you. Post-test will cover most of the part we discussed in macroeconomics, but it's not going to go very deep. They just touch the basic idea, and hopefully you'll still remember it. It's not going to be really that hard. Okay, so let's take a look. In the post-test, the first one we discussed, in the economic, the first three chapters we discussed economics, we discussed demand and the supply, and the demand, as you can see, is very important for the rest of this class. Okay, so what is a demand? So if you look at the demand, demand shows the relationship between the price and how many you're willing to buy. And that price shows the inverse relationship, Ceteris paribus. Okay, so that is demand model. Okay, so in that case, we know the demand, all right? Next one, we are going to show you the supply. Supply shows you the relationship between the price and how many you're willing to sell. So that is for the supply side, okay? And that relationship is positive. So we know if demand and the supply in equilibrium, which means they want to be in where quantity demand equal to quantity supply, which is only the interception part here. And now when you look at that, okay, you recognize, okay, if any time demand is changing, this equilibrium goes to the new equilibrium. Okay, let me use a better graph. Okay, so in that case, we have demand, we have supply, and we want to make sure you understand when nothing changing demand and supply side, they like to stay here. That is equilibrium price, okay? And that will be equilibrium price, that will be equilibrium quantity. Okay. All right, however, if something is changing, let's say there's more people in this town, then demand must shift into the new place. And that is how your equilibrium reach to the new price, okay? So we can see when demand goes up, the new equilibrium price and the new equilibrium quantity goes up. So that is for the demands goes up to the new place, okay? And the other one is they want to let you understand not only demand can change, supply can change. So in that case, let's shift the supply, okay? So if supply is changed, okay, increase of supply means at the same price, you suddenly supply more. So when supply is going up, we find out, okay, so the equilibrium moved to the new equilibrium price. Here you have lower price, but then your equilibrium quantity goes up, okay? So by understand the demand and supply, next step, they want you to understand, okay, if supply change or demand change, how that affect equilibrium price. So let's move to the next one. Next one we discussed is about the utility. Okay, remember we talk about for any people who is gonna, let's say, eat taco, okay? How many happiness you get from 2 taco you consume is total utility, but additional taco you consumed that bring you additional happiness, that is marginal utility. So here we discussed total utility and marginal utility. You do need to understand those. So let's take a look. Okay. So here for total utility and marginal utility and utility maximization rule, that is the things we need discussed on the part how to make the optimal choices for the consumer. Okay, so here we discussed, okay, we have okay, we have total happiness, okay. This should be a review section, so I hope you understand. I'm not gonna take a lot of time to discuss that. Okay, so we said for the marginal utility is always positive and it decreases. So in that case, the biggest marginal utility is the first taco you consume. You're gonna get biggest happiness. And then the more taco you consume, your happiness goes down. If from positive until you eat too much taco, additional taco you consume, it brings you negative happiness. And then we add all the tacos happiness, we find out as far as your happiness is positive, your total happiness or total utility goes up. As far as one at the moment, your additional happiness is gonna hurt your happiness, then your total happiness goes down. Okay, so here we have total utility, marginal utility, and we see the marginal utility is always goes down. Okay, and then the rule to find the best combination on consume between different goods or service is based on the last dollar you spent on each good give you the same happiness, which we already talked about it. The marginal happiness on Apple divided by price of Apple need to be equal to the price, the marginal happiness on orange divided by price of orange. Okay, so basically the last dollar, the dollar per dollar's happiness on all goods need to be equal. So that is what we discussed, okay? And of course, you have to make sure you stay in budget, okay? Which is price of apple times how many apple you consume plus price of orange times how many orange you consume must be equal to your budget, okay? So that is all we discussed on that section regarding how consumer make the optimal choices, okay? So that is the next 8 part. And then we discussed how business gonna make the optimal choices. When we talk about the business make optimal choices, we have to talk about the production function first. So we discussed the production function. Okay. Okay, let me see if I can. Okay, put it in next graph. Okay, so to make it easier, I put the production function here. For the production function, it basically shows you relationship between how many input you're gonna generate how many output. And we shows you there's a marginal product. Okay, all right. It's a similar idea between total product and marginal product, okay? Marginal product goes up and then it finally reach to the top point, it's gonna go down. As far as marginal product is positive, means more labors you hire is gonna bring you more output, so your total output goes up. Until more labors you hire is gonna hurt your production, your total production goes down. Okay, so here you know the shape of total product, which is similar as total utility, and the marginal product, when it reaches to the point, it shows diminishing marginal product. But remember, it goes up at the beginning, and then when it reaches to the top, it goes down. Okay, and here you need to understand for the cost, we have total cost including 2 parts. one cost is like rental insurance. It does not change no matter how many goods and service you produce. Okay, variable cost is the cost is gonna go up when you produce more good. Okay, for example, the raw material can go up if you produce more bread. Okay, and then we divide the total utility equation both sides by quantity. We find average fixed cost, average variable cost, and average total cost. And we also introduce marginal cost. Marginal cost is talk about additional costs. So every time when I make additional output, it's gonna bring additional total cost. So when I compare or when I decide, do I want to make additional product, I have to compare additional cost with additional revenue, which is marginal cost with marginal revenue. Okay, which we're gonna bring it to the first market model. We said depends on how many sellers in this market. Can you control the price in this market? We have pure competition, monopolist competition, and oligopoly and pure monopoly. The first market structure we discussed is a pure competition, okay? But how to find the price level and the quantity to maximize profit, we use marginal revenue equal to marginal cost, okay? Which your marginal revenue is equal to price, and that is pre-decided by the market, and then your marginal cost is U-shape. So when marginal cost equal to marginal revenue, that is where you want to produce. You'll find the quantity and the price, okay? And then we introduced two kind of important price. One is the break-even price, which will your price is equal to average total cost. The other one is a shutdown price, which is price is less than average variable cost. Okay, am I going too fast? Yes, no? Okay, this is basically review for what we discussed in the past. Okay, so these two, let me see if I can show it in this graph. Okay, so for the company, you will have cost structure, you have marginal cost, okay, you have average total cost, okay, you have average variable cost, okay? So what we say is, all right, if the price is equal to, okay, if this is the price, okay, that is price equal to average total cost, okay, because your price level is right equal to average total cost. And that means you are break even. Your price is the same as average total cost, okay? So your average cost is $5, you sell it for $5, you break even, okay? The other one is a break even. The other one is a shutdown point, is where the price is equal to, okay, average variable cost, okay? So in that case, when your price is lower than average variable cost, not only you cannot cover fixed costs, you even cannot cover the variable costs. So that is called a shutdown point. Okay, that is a shutdown point, okay? All right, can I move to next one? This is just review part. Any question? Am I going too fast? Okay. All right, let's move to the next one. If you have any question, you need to unmute yourself and then let me know. Okay, So this is about the pure competition part. Okay, you need to know the break-even point and the shutdown point. Okay, so now let's talk about the pure monopoly.
Hey, Dr. Z.
Yes.
I joined a little bit late. I don't know if you can mark me down for attendance or not, or when
Oh,
you get a chance to. I'm sorry.
okay. All right.
Thank you.
I will do class attendance at the end of class. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. So for pure monopoly, we said for this class, if you can understand the concept by drawing the graph, that will be best for you. Okay, so for the pure monopoly market, you need to understand the characteristic for pure monopoly. Remember, it's pure monopoly means there's only one seller in this market. How can they be only seller in this market? They have to have certain way to block other firm to come in. Okay, and because there's only one firm in the market, you have total control on the price. Okay, all right. So the next one we discussed for the market structure is monopolistic competition. Okay, here what is the characteristic for monopolistic competition? Remember, we said we have relatively large number of sellers. You have relatively large number of sellers, okay? But since there's very easy to enter this market, okay? So in this market, they don't have long run economic profit, okay? To be standing out in this market, you have to make sure your product as different as possible compared to your rivals. And then the more different, the more way you can control the price. Okay, and then the last one is characteristic for oligopoly. Okay, we discuss about the oligopoly because in this market we only have several large firms, so each firm need to check what is their rival do. So in that case, this is the only market structure we cannot use marginal revenue equal to marginal cost to find out the optimal choices, which is the price and quantity to maximize the profit. So the oligopoly is the only market structure we will have a hard time to do that, okay? Because they're mutually independent. So when they doing any decision, they need to check what their rival do, okay? And how can they be only handful firm in this market? They have to certain way to block other firm in. However, because they have so many only handful large firm, when they combined together, they can be a group together as pure monopoly. So in that case, they have incentive to merge. But again, since they're not only one firm, there's high chance they can cheat on each other, break that merge. Okay. All right, so that is the firm market model. You need to understand what characteristic, and for the first market model, you need to understand because that is where you learn how to decide the price and the quantity. You use marginal revenue equal to marginal cost, okay? For the pure monopoly and the monopolist competition, the graph is similar. The only difference is pure monopoly, the demand curve will be more steep. Okay, so we have price, okay, and then the marginal revenue located below the price, and then you use marginal revenue equal to marginal cost. You will find where you want to produce, and then on the top there, you will find the price. When you decide the price and the quantity, you basically already find the best combination to maximize your profit. Okay. Next one, when we talk about international trade, remember in the case of Mexico and the US, we find out the US have absolute advantage on both produce beef and vegetable. However, US shouldn't produce both of them. What they should produce is they should produce something it costs them less. So the international trade is based on the comparative advantage, which is whoever who produce this good, it costs less, that country need to produce that. Okay, all right. That is all for the macroeconomic. Okay, the last one I want to review is the opportunity cost, because sometimes when we talk about opportunity cost on chapter 26 for international trade, some students forget what that means. Opportunity cost means, okay, if you choose to use this resource to produce something, then what you gave up, okay, the value of best foregone alternative that was not choosing will be opportunity cost. So in that case, in the chapter for the international trade, we said, okay, if US use all the resource to produce beef, okay, then 30 beef they can produce. And if US use all the resource to produce vegetable, then 30 vegetable you can produce. And that PPC curve shows the trade-off or opportunity cost on produced beef if they give up vegetable. Okay, so that is all for this macroeconomic class review part. There's no calculation, I believe. So basic question will be concept question as what I showed you here. All right, any question? Okay, I will make this